everyone and welcome to another PowerApps roadmap. Today we're building an app that can run on your phone and can be used to scan barcodes to build your own shopping list. As a quick word of warning, this walkthrough does involve premium connectors and the API that we use to look up the barcodes does have a subscription cost. But when we get to that stage, I will talk through how you can build an alternate version that doesn't cost any money but does involve a little bit more work on your part when using the app. Okay, so we're going to get started in Sharepoint, where we're going to create two lists. One list called shopping list and one list called shopping items. The shopping list doesn't require any additional columns right away, so we're just going to stick with the default title column. And shopping items, we want to have the default title and we want to add in barcode. We'll talk later on about how else you could expand this, but for this demo this is all we're going to need. So let's move into PowerApps, and I've created a blank canvas phone app. So I have a portrait mode here, and the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to set the theme to dark blue, just to change things up a little bit. And the first thing that I want to add, so we're going to start with this blank. So we're going to start with this blank phone temp. We're going to start with this blank phone layout template canvas app, and the first thing that I want to add is a barcode scanner. Make sure it's aligned, and we're name it. This is going to be our own barcode scanner, so let's just name it barcode scanner. And we need to add in a gallery. And the next thing that we want to do is add a connection, and we want to make sure we have a connection to our shopping items and our shopping list. And this gallery's items are going to be shopping list. And so we're going to add in a label, and it's going to reference this item.title. And we also want to add in an icon to clear out an item from our list. We want to label these, so this is item and this is remove. And this is our list. Great. So now that we have our screen set up, let's move over to BarcodeLookup.com and sign up for their test API. And once you're logged in, there'll be a link to the documentation and a quick example of how the barcode query can work. And that's how we're going to build ours. You can see this URL is already formatted for us to return the results for this bar using our API key. And if we click on that, you can see this is the information that it returns. And there are a lot of details here, and that will vary depending on who has uploaded information to BarcodeLookup.com and what kind of item it is that's been added. We are only going to use the most basic information, which is product name. In this demo, we're only going to return the product name, so let's copy this URL and move over to Power Automate. And I want to create a new instant flow which starts from the Power App, and I'm going to call this one Scan Barcode. The first thing that I want to do is initialize a variable, and this is going to be what holds our product name and passes it back to the our Power App. So we will name it product name, and we'll make it a string, and it will have no initial value. And our next step is going to be an HTTP request, and this is one of the premium connections. So if you follow through at this point, and if you don't have access to the premium connectors, we will pick up later on how you can skip this part. The method is going to be a get request, and we want to add in the URL, except we don't want to look up this barcode every time. We click on the dynamic content asking PowerApps, and that will take the variable that we pass, the flow, and insert it into this URL. And you can see there's our API key. We're now at the point where we need to check whether or not the product exists in BarcodeLookup's database. So our next step needs to be a condition. And the condition is if the status code of the HTTP request is equal to 200. 200, as per the BarcodeLookup API documentation, is a successful return. So is a successful. So on a successful 200 status code, we want to search through the JSON that was returned and pull out the product name. So the first thing that we need to do is parse our JSON. So we can search ahead here and find parse JSON, and the content is going to come from the body of our HTTP, and we can grab the contents from this demo request and generate from sample, paste that in there, click done, and it builds out a schema that will match what the lookup will return. So now that we're parsing our JSON, we want to go through there and find our product underscore name. Taking a look at the sample query, we can see that product name sits under the products object, and we want to click apply to each, which means it will run through the JSON each time it finds this in the content. So we want it to run through for every product that it finds in our JSON string. But inside here, we want to set our variable, and there's a drop down here for product name, and we're going to set it to product name inside our products, just like what's in here. And at that point, we can now report back to PowerApps and we want to return a found value of true. So a boolean found value of true and a text value which we'll call name, and we'll just pick our product name from the dynamic content list here. So in the event of a successful return from the API, we search through it, find the product name, and then reply back to the PowerApp with a boolean variable that we've named found and set to true, and a string variable which we've called name set to product name. Now let's go back and tie up the loose end here, and we want to reply back. We want to use the found variable again, but this time we want to set it to false, and let's just add in a text here as well. Call it name, and we'll reserve it as blank just now. So let's save that, and we will head back to PowerApps and take a look at our button. Okay, so we have our button selected, and I want to update what happens on scan. So let's select our on scan control and bring this down here, and just to get it running, I am going to switch over to actions and Power Automate, and I want to use my scan barcode flow here. So let's add that to our app, can see it's added the start of the formula to our control here, but we need to finish things off. So we can go in and we want to set product name to scanBarcode.run, and the value that we want to pass it goes inside the brackets here. So we want to pass it the value of barcode scanner.value. Okay, so we are setting this variable, our product name, to the return of the PowerAutomate running with this value going through it here. And now we can add an if statement which will check to see if the Barcode API found a match. So if product name dot found is equal to true, let's add a comment in here so you know this is barcode found on API call. In this case, we want to patch our shopping list with the defaults shopping list, and that involves setting title to product name dot name. And we also want to patch our shopping items with the defaults of shopping items, and we want to set the title to product name.name and barcode to barcode scanner.value. Now, what we're doing here is adding an item to our shopping list, but we're also adding the item to our own database of shopping items. And the reason we're doing this is that you may only have a limited amount of requests you can make to the API. So we're going to keep that low by checking if the barcode that you've scanned matches something that you've scanned previously and already added to your shopping list in the past. Okay, so now we have a little program set up that will scan a barcode, call the PowerAutomate, and if the automate returns a proper value, we are going to add the item to our shopping list, and then go to our own database of items and add the barcode and the name of the item to our shopping items as well. So let's add in a check to see whether or not we even need to make that API call. If the count of rows on a filter of our shopping items where barcode scanner.value is exact in barcode, if that equals 0, then we want to say barcode is not found on Sharepoint list, call the flow. Okay, so now our formula reads, when an item is scanned, we are going to check our shopping items for an exact match on the barcode column for the value of our code that we've scanned, and if the amount of rows that it returns is 0, then that means that we haven't previously scanned it and added it to our own database, so we need to call out to the API in the hopes of finding out what we've just scanned. So in that instance, we want to complete our program as previously as we previously wrote. But in the event that you've previously scanned it, maybe it's a staple like milk or bread, and it's something that's going to come up often, we want to have an else value in here, or a formula that runs if it is found, and in that instance we want to patch our shopping list with the defaults of shopping list, and we want to set the title to the value of our shopping items list. Barcode scanner.value is exact in barcode. In the event that a search of the shopping items does return a match, in that case all we want to do is patch an item to our shopping list, and we want to patch in the name of the item that matches our barcode exactly from our shopping items list on Sharepoint. That way we're circumventing the entire call to PowerAutomate, and therefore the call to the BarcodeLookups API, and it's one less query out of our allowance, our monthly allowance. So now the only scenario that isn't covered is if the item doesn't exist in our Sharepoint list but also doesn't exist on the API, and in that instance we want to create a way of adding it ourselves to our Sharepoint list, because we don't want to just ignore it. We want to be able to work with the item that we scanned. It's something necessary. So let's add in another option here, and this is going to be in the event that the product name is false. So in here we're going to add in a popover, and we're going to control the popover through this line in our formula here. Let's set that to barcode not found, so that we know that in the event that the barcode isn't found on API, then we want to set our popover to visible. Okay, so let's get building our popover. Let's add a rectangle, and we make it the full size of the screen. And so I'm going to set it to black with a 50% transparency, so that we can see that we're still on that screen. We're going to add in a label that says that item wasn't found. Do you want to add it to your shopping list? And we need to add in a text input box, which we want to take up almost the full width of the pop over there, and let's change the default text to nothing, the hint text to product name, so that will disappear when we start typing in here. And we want to name this our product name. Let's add in a button, cancel, which will just say, you know what, I don't want to add this to my list just now, let's just ignore things. So that's the easiest one to deal with first. So we want to set the onSelect of this label to set popover visible to false, and we want to grab a button, when someone clicks the add button, we want to check to see if the length of our product name box is greater than 0. So we want to check the value in there, and if it's 0, then we're not going to do anything. But if it's more than 0, we want to patch our shopping list just like before, but we want to add a product name from this text box rather than from our flow, and we want to patch the shopping items with the default, and we're going to set the title to the name from the text box, and we're going to set the barcode from the value of the barcode scanner. Then we should reset the product name and reset the popover visible to false. So let's group these, as we're going to look after all these together. Actually, I don't mind leaving the decorative stuff, but anything that you're working on, you should really name anything that you're going to interact with. So let's just call this one cancel ad. And that should be everything. So on our home, and let's group everything here, and we can call this add item group. And we want to set the visibility to pop over visible. And you can see it's automatically hidden it. Great, I think the only thing we need to do now is add in a button for removing an item from our shopping list. And that's really simple. We've already got our icon in place here. We just want to go to the on select control for it and remove from the shopping list this item. So you can use it however you want. If you decide you don't need to replace something, you can click it, or you can take this when you're doing your shop, and as you add items to your shopping cart or your basket, you can just X out of those things until you've cleared out all the things on your shopping list. Okay, so let's get this published, and I'll switch over to our phone screen and you can see it in action. Okay, so you can see I have the app running on my phone here, and I'm going to open up our barcode scanner, and I'm going to move down to the barcode in this book, and you can see it's added the book to my shopping list. And you'd be quite surprised as to the amount of things that are on here. It's not uncommon for books to be there, obviously, but my father-in-law brought me back these Hawaiian shirt post-it notes from a trip to Hawaii, and I found out the other day that if I scan those, they're also on there for the next time I need one of those. And so although I don't have a bottle in front of me, I can bring up an image of the barcode on Google Images, and let's scan that. And I've added a bottle of Diet Coke to my shopping list as well. And it's as easy as just tapping on the X's to remove them. And you can see it takes a second there as it updates the SharePoint list. And if we move back over to our SharePoint list, you can see in my shopping items I've added our three things that were scanned: the book, the post-it notes, and the can of Coke. And if I look at my shopping list, it only has the one thing that was left on there, the all important Hawaiian shirt sticky notes. So the BarcodeLookup API is pretty expensive. It does have a price point if you message their support team for non-commercial use, which is still pretty expensive at $20 a month for 1,000 scans. That's probably more than most households would need per month. But if you don't want to pay for the BarcodeLookup API, you then don't need the premium HTTP connection, because you're going to change your formula. Instead of ever calling the flow, all you want to do is set the popover visible to true and ask for a name for the product, and then add that to your shopping list and add it to your shopping items. So the next time you scan it, you don't need to add in the product name. It will pull it straight from your items. I'd love to see how you implement this. Maybe you want to implement the pricing so that you can track your spending. Maybe you want to implement categories so that you can organize your shopping list by aisle. Other things you could do is adding in when you scanned the item to your shopping list, so that you can see how often you are replenishing stuff in the fridge. Yeah, there are a lot of ways you can make this. You can customize this app to work the way that you need it to. hit me up on YouTube or Twitter if you have any comments or questions about what we've done today, and don't forget to check out some of the other videos. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.